This is going to be our reenactment of the wreck of engine 382, train number 1, Casey Jones's train, on the fateful night of April 30th, 1900. This is the scene here where the accident happened, Vaughn, Mississippi. Early that night, freight train number 72 came north from Canton and pulled onto the freight siding of the Vaughn station. There are still two trains coming, one from the south and one from the north. From the south was coming number 26, a passenger train. It pulled into the passenger side of the Vaughn station. Okay, it has to be off the main line there.
Huh?
It's on the main line.
It's a little bit on the main line.
There you go. Okay. Meanwhile, from the north was another freight train, number 83, which also pulled onto the freight side at the station. Now, the two freight trains together were a little bit too long for their siding. 3 cars were hanging out onto the main line of 83. Normally, this would be okay. They could, if another train wanted to come through on the main line...
We should demonstrate how they did the saw-by.
Right, we could do a saw-by. They could do what's called a saw-by. Let's demonstrate how a saw-by is supposed to work. You can slide both trains, say there's a train coming from the north. You slide both trains out so that the northern switch is clear, and then the train could come from the north. This is what was supposed to happen on that night. The train could come from the north, slip by on the main line, by the northern switch, stop, and then they could slide the other trains back to clear the southern switch. And then the train could go through on the main line. That was what was supposed to happen. But is that what happened on that night?
No.
No. We will now show you what happened on that fateful night. It was a foggy night. Casey Jones had arrived in Memphis on the number 2 at like midnight, and they told him, "You got to go back out."
You mean 382?
No, he finished earlier that night on a different line. They told him, "You got to go back out on the number 1 line," even though it was the middle of the night and he'd already worked a full day. But he was a good engineer. He was one of the best around. So he took the job and he went out. And furthermore, he was an hour and a half late. He was trying to make up time, and they were having a record run, making up all the time. They were going 75 miles an hour, coming toward Vaughn. But meanwhile, wait, the saw-bys. The two freight trains were on the siding like this, with 3 cars hanging out. And they went to do the saw-by maneuver. So they went to back up the 2 trains to clear the northern switch.
With this?
They went to back up both trains, back up the 72, and yeah, that way. That's what they tried to do. And what happened?
This train's car number 4's air brake broke.
Right.
So
a hose broke on the air brakes of car number 4, so the brakeman ran back to try to fix it. So then a flagman went out to the back of train number 83 to try to signal train number 1, which they knew was coming. But it was a foggy night, and he was going fast, so he didn't see the signal until it was too late. They came barreling down the track. Casey Jones came barreling down the track at 75 miles an hour, and just when they were about there, 300 feet away, that's too close. Here, back when he was about 300 feet away, his fireman, Sim Webb, said, "Oh my Lord, there's cars on the main line." And Casey Jones said to him, "Jump, Sim, jump." So he jumped out of the train, got himself banged up. Then Casey Jones threw the engine into full reverse to try to slow it down, and he pulled the whistle with all his might to try to warn anyone on the freight trains that they couldn't stop. He slowed the train down from 75 miles an hour to 35 miles an hour. And the engine slammed into the back 3 cars of 83. And because he had managed to slow it down so much, only the locomotive came off the track and ended up spinning around. No one else on the passenger trains was killed. No one else in the whole event was killed. except for Casey Jones. Casey Jones died in the locomotive. And then we wanted to show this is what engine 382 actually looked like. Anything else to add?
No.
Okay, that's the wreck of 382, engine 382.